Welcome back to another edition of the Willy Bragg Show. I'm Willy Bragg, and during the month of June, I'm focusing or emphasizing on Pride Months with all my guests from the LGBTQ community, and we have once here again, Thomas from Tommy Nation Politics. Welcome back,
Tommy Nation Politics. Thanks, Willie. It's good to be back on the show. I love your show. I watch your show all the time. And it's good to be back, man. Thanks.
Oh yeah, and likewise. I'm glad. I'm glad to see you back here too, and everything. And as I said before we got in the year, I'm glad to find out that Jamar Jabari's doing fine too. That it was not, nothing more, dangerous than tonsils.
Yeah.
So,
thank God.
Yeah. So
he's got a voice, so he's definitely got to use that voice. So. I told you hot toddies, Jamar. I told you.
Yep. Well, as I said, at least it wasn't serious. I mean, like fatal serious or anything like that. Yeah. It's been a lot of crap going on with my family lately. My mother had a series of mini strokes, so I'm a little worried about her at this point. So, and all that. So, anyway, subject at hand. LGBTQ, it's the Pride Month. It was with regard to the LGBTQ community and what looked like what I thought were settled issues years ago doesn't really look all that settled when it comes right down to it. So I figure maybe you might want to share your thoughts on this.
Well, let me just start off by saying with the right wing, things are never ever settled because they always have. They're always let's just break it down. And I don't want to spend too much time talking about the right wing because we should talk about what I learned is because when I was a young gay person, I was always drinking and I was always partying and I was always having sex during Pride. But now that I'm older, I think about our history. I think about where it took us to get here, how it took us to get here, the Stonewall riots, how legislation, how progressive people like AOC, they never helped us. You know what helped us, Willie? Rocks at cops' heads. That's what helped us. The right wing, it has never, ever let up. They've never, ever given us a chance. They were always attacking us back in those days. And during the assaults on gay marriage, wanted to ban gay marriage in the 90s, they were attacking us then. It wasn't until that backlash occurred that we started to gain ground and we started to actually, it was that backlash that made gay marriage possible. It wasn't Barack Obama. It was a backlash that they went out of their way. They hated us so much. They went out of their way to try to ban gay marriage. So I feel like this new upcoming wave of hatred that they've never been able to allow us to be happy. And every time we take one step forward, they're afraid and scared that they're gonna hurt their Sharia law, their Christian Sharia law. And
Christian Sharia. That's the perfect name for it.
Yeah, it's what they've always wanted. And people like Ben Shapiro and people like what's his name, Crowder, they've always wanted it. They've just been quiet about it, Willie, up till now because it started to resurface. So I just want to pose that to you. They've always wanted it. They thought about it silently, and now that they're starting to express it again, audibly.
Yeah. I grew up in the 1980s, and it took things like growing up in the 1980s, even as a straight person, it took things like people even mistaking you for one that for me, that's where I was like, well, okay, that was part of where my mind started to open up. It's there are even straight people that will get harassed for people thinking that this is how they are and what have you. And then from almost, so I was bragged to being one of the earliest supporters of LGBTQ equality at a time in the rural part of the state of North Carolina that was just kind of considered faux pas or impolite conversation to come out and say, hey, I support. Back then we just said gay and lesbian rights, but the definitions evolved over the years, and being one of the first people to support same-sex marriage, not trying to virtue signal or anything like that, but how basically how much times have changed, because back then when I was in college, all you have to say is I support gay rights. I don't care what people do. Really, what are you, some kind of liberal nut? And that was the reaction, And it's like 30 some years later.
You want to give people rights? You want people to have rights in this country?
Yeah.
You're some kind of liberal. I love that shit.
And little by little, the argument changed, because it started to look a little weird to be opposed to people having rights. So they changed their arguments, and before they got like really violently anti-gay the way they are now, they started to do things like saying, well, we just don't think they should have special rights. And then it went to, well, we don't think they ought to get married, and be, little by little, they'll try to put a different spin to not look so unreasonable. Now they're just their pretense is over, and they're just like proud to look like assholes.
Yeah, it's Trump. It's the age of Trump, bro. That's why it is. It really is, man. I mean, I don't think Trump is he's colluding with Russia. Okay, this is what they've done. This is what this liberal establishment has been really done, is they've really just obfuscated the fact that he is a horrible leader. He's a dumbass, and the fact he is he did tear the veil off of society, and we kind of needed that decorum a little bit, even just to keep the right wing at bay. He did do those things, but we can't even blame him for those things, because the media, the corporate media, lies so much about everything that they didn't even like touch that stuff. Did you notice that the corporate media didn't even touch the fact? I mean, they say he lies all the time, but like, he really is responsible for the fact that now the right wingers they feel like they can say whatever they want, and because they think they're a game show host, celebrity apprentice salesman, they really do.
I think it's a combination of events. I still ultimately blame the situation of the post 9/11 world. Basically, it was when you have 9/11, which caused a lot of divisions, and you had George W. Bush was a typical Republican, and where he and Donald Trump may have in common, I personally don't think that either one of them, in their heart of hearts, give a shit about the issue one way or the other, but they will know that their base love this shit, and so it's red meat. So they scare people about the gay marriage and all that during the Bush years and everything. And today's been substituted with the trans scare.
I know.
And the thing they always like to dashed upon people is the grooming. They call it grooming today, and there was they like to accuse the whole community of pedophilia. They're heterosexual pedophiles too. There's no connection. Isn't
it funny how the right wing always uses words like grooming and woke, like things that are supposed to be good? You're supposed to be awake. You're supposed to groom yourself. You're supposed to brush your hair. You know what? I post to the right wing. Maybe you should groom your kids. Your kids smell like Doritos and stinky feet. You groom your kids. How about that? So you don't have to worry about us. And by the way, right wing, if they want to partake in pride, they're going to find a way to do it later on. So, I mean, they really have a dying. I think this is one of their last dying sprouts of bullshit before this country just falls apart because of late stage capitalism. They just got to do one more of these. Oh, gay people. The trans rights are human rights. Gay rights are human rights. In fact, our founding fathers said all men are created equal, endowed by their creator with life, liberty, and happiness. So, guys, when you talk about, do you want rights? what you're saying to me is I'm a fascist. I'm a piece of shit fascist, loyalist from the British Empire, and I'm not an American. I don't have American values. That's what you're trying to tell. That's what you're telling me. Trans rights are human rights. Gay rights are human rights. Colored people rights are human rights. White people's rights are human rights. They came for the Jews. You all know the saying. So stop being fascists, guys. Y'all, I don't know if Willie, are they stupid when they say things like this, or do they really not realize they're being fascists? I don't understand.
I think there's a lot of people like in Germany. Hitler used the Jews and used others as scapegoats, and this is kind of like a new version of this. The immigrants. I mean, they talk about the immigrants, and the immigration scare and everything, and they're flooding the borders, all this stuff. They're so obsessed over that, and they'll use things like they'll talk about things like what's the other one? They can't say Jews, but they will say Hollywood and cultural Marxism, that sort of thing. Something that's kind of dark and nefarious. They'll use those as code words. Soros is the new Rothschild for these people, and they'll this tough on crime, the militarization of the police. This isn't anything new. This goes back to Ronald Reagan. I mean, Ronald Reagan would get tough on crime and all of this sort of thing, and the drug war that they doubled down on and all that, all this sort of thing back then, and has never really left. And everybody said, "Oh, well, everybody got a break under Bill Clinton." Well, there was the Biden crime bill, and look what that Biden crime bill did in 1994. And I think the Biden is a piece of shit. I'm glad I didn't vote for him, and I will not vote for him in 2024 because he's responsible for the a lot of this situation too today. And anyway,
I think that you're right. I think that actually it's kind of interesting mirror. Do you notice how Bill Clinton was president? Then George W. Bush became president, and they started to ban gay marriage, right? And so we have Donald Trump president now. Biden is president, who's doing the exact same things that Bill Clinton was doing. He was gutting welfare. Bill Clinton was putting out crime bills. Bill Clinton was making sure that students were being saddled with student loan debt. Now we see from Jacobin today that this debt ceiling deal is literally it's a goodbye, student debtors. We're going to leave you. I call this one a long way out. But Joe Biden, he put the face mask off. Like, he really is going to just let student debt cancellation just pass him by. At first, he said he was going to do an executive order. He lied. He's one of the biggest liars ever. And this is one of those, I don't give a shit about you. I'm a neoliberal corporatist, Dixiecrat. And I think there's a big similarities to be shared from Bill Clinton and Joe Biden. I mean, they worked together to do the crime bill. So I really do think this is Bill Clinton 2.0. People say it's Obama 2.0. I think this presidency is honestly Bill Clinton 2.0.
Well, in 1992, early 1992. I voted for Bill Clinton in 1992, election in 1992, and I'm sorry I did it. Not that I would support George Herbert Walker Bush. I should have had the common sense to vote third party back then. But I remember that Governor Clinton of Arkansas left the campaign trail to fly back to Arkansas to oversee an execution of a mentally challenged African-American man who was to be executed, to let basically the Reagan Democrats and white Americans know, I'm not like that Michael Dukakis from 4 years ago. I'm tough on crime. Look who I'm executing. I mean, Bill and Hillary Clinton has done a lot to throw African Americans under the bus in so many ways, and so has Joe Biden.
Yeah, yes. Totally.
And so has Vice President Kamala Harris as Attorney General, which makes me. She's still Kamala as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, she is Kamala.
Yeah,
she's so much more though. She's a clown. She's the new face of the Democratic Party, according to Chuck Todd, who just got fired from MSNBC. So I mean, all these talking heads are literally talking her up, and so I think Joe Biden's going to be reelected because Donald. Let's just face it, Donald Trump is he's just not smart. He's not a smart guy. He's going
He's
to
Dr.
lose.
Evil.
He's going to lose. He's not smart. He's not smart at all. He does. He asked for 11th Raffensperger for 11,000 votes. This guy, Joe Biden, he makes shell companies to not pay his taxes. Trump just fucking relies about it. Joe Biden's very intricate about it. That's the difference between the Democrats and Republicans. Is the Republicans they commit crimes and treason and war crimes, but the Democrats, they come up with backstory after backstory and shell companies, so they can try to like trick people, throw people off the trail, try to make the IRS so tired of investigating them, they'll be like, fuck it. That's what Hillary Clinton did with them guys. But yeah, so I think Joe Biden is going to be reelected. He's going to die in his second term. And then they were going to have Kamala, and we won't even have that voted for her because Wall Street, the banks, and the industrial complex, they know that we won't ever vote for Kamala, never, unless we're at war and it's like a gun to the head, right? Gun to the head, we'll vote for her. So they'll try to come up with some kind of scenario where that happens, bro, for her second. But at first they're going to push it on her. That's what Tulsi Gabbard said. Actually, I think it's actually true. She actually said this on Sean Hannity, which doesn't give her a lot of credibility. But I really think that the theory is actually accurate. I really do.
I'm not so sure that Donald is going to be a shoe-in for Donald Trump to get the nomination.
I don't think so. So you think it's DeSantis now?
I heard what Russell Dobler said on Generational Change a couple of months ago that the Russell from Due Dissidence, he said, you know, Jen Perlman, right?
Who?
Jen Perlman from Florida.
I don't know Jen Perlman now.
Yeah, she has a show called Generational Change. Anyway, they were the guests on Generational Change, and he said basically that there's no way that the Republican establishment will allow Donald Trump to get that nomination again. They will set him up with a hooker somewhere to make him look bad, or they'll whack them. They'll do whatever, they're going to do what they can to make sure that embarrassment is not going to be their representative. And if you look at it, Fox, they kind of dumped Trump, and they're basically on the DeSantis bandwagon. And I think that DeSantis, a lot of people say that Trump is just going to run over DeSantis, who's Trump's biggest obstacle in 2024 in the primaries. But I'm not so sure it's going to be that much of a shoe-in for Trump to get the nomination.
Well, I think this is one of those culture warrior moments where like you fire the phasers at Trump and he seems to get bigger. So everything the establishment is going to do to Trump, which I agree with you, they will, is going to probably backfire a lot of it. And probably make his dunder-headed followers even more in love with him. Oh God, he makes all the people that I hate, upset. So if Nicole Wallace from MSNBC, who is a Bush person, fucking tries to talk about Donald Trump, they're just going to be like, well, we hate George W. Bush, right? So it might actually backfire, but this is one of those things where it's like DeSantis is actually standing up to gay rights, right? So they could turn around and just be like, well, this guy actually helps get things done when it comes to the curtailing of civil liberties, when it comes to, making people less than marginalizing groups, when it comes to cutting social safety nets, when it comes to making sure that people can murder on the streets in Florida African-American men like George Zimmerman, like DeSantis is a dream come true for George Zimmerman, people like that.
Yeah, he's a Gusto Pinochet of Florida. That's what he is. I mean, and when I saw Dave Rubin the other day endorsing him, I'm just like, wow, he hates your very existence, Dave. How in the hell can you just look at yourself in the mirror?
Because they have dinner. They have dinner together. Oh, he doesn't say anything about me being gay. He just looks at me and says, "How was your day, Dave?" That's what Dave thinks. Dave is such a out of touch. I mean, the white privilege. Oh my God, to the millionth power. I don't understand how it even happened. Like I've never seen a white person as white privileged as Dave Rubin.
Well, I mean, he's got a
Jesus Christ.
he's a millionaire. I mean, I guess that grifting did pay off. I mean,
Uh,
I guess he just must train himself to have no self-respect when he's going to Liberty University and saying that people at Liberty University are more open-minded than liberals are about his being gay or
no, they
something.
just don't say anything, Dave. Dave, they just don't say anything. They're not even more open-minded. They just hate you inside their heads. That's all. That's the only difference.
It's their new PR. I mean, yeah. Yeah,
He's so funny.
35, 40 years ago, they'll be like, get the hell off of my campus,
Yeah.
but now, they would. I hate to quote Rachel Maddow, but here's an example of right-wing cancel culture for you. I found out, I was watching, as I said, I hate to talk about Rachel Maddow in a positive way because she's
We all
positive.
loved her at some time. Remember, she used to put me to bed with her stories. She's a great storyteller. I didn't find out they were lies till a while.
But I did agree with her with this story. She did a report on Liberty University, and if this would have happened on a liberal campus to a conservative group or a Christian group, you would never hear the end of it from the right wing. But apparently, the college Democrats and the ACLU chapter at Liberty University was basically banned off the campus. That it was absolutely just banned off the campus and it wouldn't be recognized by the university. And I'm just thinking to myself, can you imagine if I'm trying to think of a liberal progressive college. Can you imagine if Berkeley or imagine if Harvard or in North Carolina, UNC Chapel Hill or something like that says the Tea Party and the college Republicans are not welcome on this campus. You never hear the end of it from the right wing.
No, you don't ever hear about the end of anything from the right wing. You don't hear about Let's Go Brandon. They're still saying Let's Go Brandon after like almost 4 years now. Like they never let anything go. So they're crybaby bitch beta cucks. So, but yeah, you're right.
They're the biggest victim around. I mean, they are. And sometimes I feel it's redundant to attack the right wing, but I feel like if they're not challenged, it makes it easier for them to win their victories because it's always they draw the line in the sand and somehow they win in the public relations and a lot of things go unchallenged. And there's a lot of people in the middle who are not necessarily bad people who buys into the propaganda.
Yeah. I think really we got to stop being reasonable with these guys. And I agree with what you're saying is that we have to challenge them. Let me tell you, they really are, especially right now. They're really violence is occurring. Violence is occurring with them. They're hurting people. They're tracking down drag queens. Have you seen those things? They're going to clubs.
Some states that they have banned.
They're doing violence. So we have to challenge them. Like,
I mean, I think there was more tolerance for drag queens in the 1950s than there are today.
Yeah.
That's weird.
It is weird.
Yeah. I mean, and Drag Queen Story Hour. Here's the thing about Drag Queen Story Hour. If a drag queen, if a drag queen is not dressing nude or dressing in a S&M bondage thing, I mean, if every drag story hour I have seen, they kind of kept it classy. I mean, there's nothing even overtly sexual about it. And and it's usually voluntary. If the parents would be like, I don't know, or the parents would be like, who cares, and I don't know. I just don't think that's, I just think that somebody's looking for a culture war where there's no culture war to be found.
I mean, again, they have found their culture war. They've always hated us from the beginning of time. And so this is just their continuing war. It's not really a culture war. It's more of just I think you're freaks and I think I'm better than you. And there's a hint of white supremacy into it. A war with us gays. Like I said, this is how Stonewall happened. So again, this is how backlashes always occur. Everybody's talking about how this is a backlash from women, trans men or trans women in sports. And what do you think about that, Willie? This is a backlash from trans women in sports. This whole drag queen story hour.
No, yeah, yeah. As I said, it's just everything out there. And I just, I, just, I don't know. I'm just fearful of the deaths that and just the lives that are going to be in danger over this atmosphere of hatred that's growing right now. And I mean, I'm not saying that if people have a reactionary or a fuddy-duddy opinion that they're not allowed to have it. I'm not saying that. Well, I'm talking about how they are scapegoated and targeted to a point where basically they're just short of saying, attack these people. That's basically what I this is what I get from Matt Walsh or someone
Mm-hmm.
like
Yes,
yeah,
definitely my mom.
Matt Walsh or Michael Knowles, and they're basically made for a millennial group of reactionaries, some Generation X and some boomers, to have it so where it doesn't look so reactionary. They don't look like some crazy fundamentalist preacher or something like that from the like a TV evangelist from the 1980s. This is the same damn thing.
Yeah, I mean, there was a television evangelist from the 1980s. His name was Billy Graham, and he used to talk about loving your neighbor as yourself. So I wish they would have followed that televangelist. Whatever happened to Billy Graham, bro? Whatever happened to that guy? Franklin Graham, not so good. But Billy
No,
Graham,
he's with the religious right. Billy Graham was he might have been conservative, but the thing about Billy Graham was he never politicized it,
yeah.
and he was never partisan. He was, in fact, the religious right denounced him when he was he was at some event with Bill Clinton in 1993 because apparently, they hated Bill Clinton for the wrong reasons, by the way. But apparently, doing anything with a Democrat, and there's a lot to be said about Democrats. I hate both parties. Both parties are garbage. It's the reason why we have a culture war. Um, it, the thing about it is that both parties, they'll have it so where anything related to a Democrat is like Satan itself. That I mean, they're at that level.
Oh yeah. I mean, they do. They do. They talk about Satan all the time. It's hilarious. There's some kind of statue, and it looks like Satan, and it's got boobs. What is this? I
Hmm.
mean, it's all about. I don't understand. It's all about how everything needs to stay with their Christian Sharia law. Except, you know what's funny though? I will like you talk about pastors and stuff like that. You talk about Christianity, but Jesus himself. Like if Jesus was here, what would he say? That's what I always think about. Jesus never ever denounced anybody but the tax people and the temple. The people that were cheating people at the temple. People like Wall Street, the banks and military industrial complex. Jesus said, "Get out! You've created a den of thieves in my Father's house." He literally said, "Loving the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and body, and then love your neighbor as yourself." That's the second greatest commandment, Nicodemus. So I think that they would literally have a rude awakening if they met Jesus Christ personally, these right wingers, because like he literally would tell them, "Why are you even claiming to be Christians? You don't follow me at all. We have nothing in common. I'm trying to feed people. I'm trying to feed the 5,000. You're trying to take away welfare. Okay." I'm trying to walk on the water so I can connect with my disciples. You're trying to marginalize groups. You're trying to take away rights. Jesus has nothing to do with these people. So it's ironic that they call themselves Christians. When
Yeah,
they
basically Jesus. Um, I mean, the concept of Jesus, or Jesus as a real person, not necessarily as a deistic being. If you wanted to separate the two, what it was. He was a brown-skinned Palestinian-born Jew who was probably the first socialist revolutionary.
yeah.
Yeah.
So but it's yeah, so it's all just a conglomeration of I don't know white supremacy, imbecility, fascism. It's just really encompassed the right wing. I really asked them, Nancy Pelosi always said we need a good working Republican Party, right? She loves how she needs to a strong Republican Party. But I encourage the right wing to just be not. I just encourage y'all to just like if you don't want government overreach, we need that. If you want to strengthen people's liberties, we need that. I wish we were the right. I need a strong right wing. We need a strong right wing, not a sick fascist beta cuck right wing. Like you guys are out of your minds. You guys really need to get back to your I don't know your true principles and values, what you claim they are. I don't know.
The way I see it is, I don't have a problem with conservatives running for office and getting elected. I just wish they'd be normal like they are in some other countries. I mean, when I look at other countries, Angela Merkel of Germany was to the left of she as a Christian Democrat, which is their conservative party. She governed to the left of Obama. Just Boris Johnson. Even Boris Johnson governed to the left of Joe Biden. I mean, that's where and that's where the Overton window is in the United States.
Yeah. So you think that's the problem, or the problem is that we've just become so polarized that and we're divided because of the Democrats and Republicans? I mean, they have to get us to divide to vote for them. So
it's a two-party system. It's a two-party system. I think that because of the two-party system, and I think that somehow we just didn't end up getting the goodies that the other countries ended up getting, like the universal health care and the strong labor movement. And I think, honestly, that an absence of some kind of a workers' party, like some kind of a labor party, is the reason why we can't have nice things. I mean, country, and I think that that's at the nucleus of what we need. I think we need a strong, labor party that could take on both Democrats and Republicans. I'm not saying it has to be called that, a labor party, but something of that nature. And I see that at least with Cornel West running, making his announcement for the presidency. And I do endorse Cornel West. He's the man I'm planning to vote for next year.
I think that's a good vote. That's a good vote, Willie. I think maybe I'll vote for him if I vote at all. He's not gonna win, but hopefully he puts some pressure on Joe Biden to do something left. And I hope that he speaks to people, because Cornel West has a way of speaking to people where it touches their souls. So I think that hearing him campaign in any way is going to be good for America and good for our soul. I think he could restore the soul of this country. So I definitely endorse that.
Yeah. I mean, he's got all the policies that I've always supported and everything, and I do think he's ultimately a good person, but unlike Bernie, he won't back down. I mean, and
I hope he's ready. I hope he's ready to not be ever on MSNBC ever again. I hope he's ready for that. I hope he's ready to never be on MSNBC again. I hope he's ready to never be mentioned by Rachel Maddow. In fact, Rachel Maddow is going to tie him to Hitler. I hope that he's ready for all of this that's coming.
He'll be shunned. He's going to be the next Ralph Nader, the next Glenn Greenwald, the next Jimmy Dore combined for what he's doing right now. This is why
the Democrats have nothing. They have a dementia-riddled old man who's a right-winger. He's a right-wing neocon who's sending 700 troops to the border on a daily basis, bashing skulls of immigrants. And he's forsaken student loan debt, and he's damaged badly, all reputations of African Americans with his crime bill. Because even after he took out, he did that amnesty for marijuana, there's still criminal records that haven't been expunged. So this guy is literally destroyed. He's destroyed leftism, Joe Biden, and that's why he's the president, because that was his reward to this neocon. And so the Democrats are in full-fledged revelation. They've revealed themselves to be neocons. This guy Cornel West is going to come along and reveal them even more. And so they got nothing left. They're desperate to get this dementia-riddled man elected so they could push their new puppet Kamala Harris onto us. And I don't know what's going to happen. This is going to be an interesting awakening for a lot of people, I feel like, when they hear Cornel West talk. Hopefully.
Question for you. The top reason I said I'm not going to support Robert Kennedy or Marianne Williamson, and they got some issues that I am in disagreement of. They've got a lot of policies I do like, but the reason I'm not going to is they're both inside the Democratic Party, and I'm outside the two-party system completely. I mean, I'm just totally out. The squad, all of that.
It's the only way to be, Willie. It's the only way to be. Really.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to be telling people you must vote third party, make fun.
Vote third party.
Well, I'll encourage people to vote third party, but I'm just, I used to be like inside outside. Like I was always an independent that will vote for. I'll be like, okay, someone like an AOC, I will support an AOC at that time. But when AOC is basically, voting to bust rail strikes, I'm like, and basically coming up with really great, nifty little speeches on the House floor about how much this bill sucks, and then she goes and votes for the bill. Very frustrating.
So it's not just frustrating. It's like, okay, so Willie just said he's not in or out. I'm just trying to tell you guys that just fall for these things more than once. Fooled me once, shame on me. Fooled me twice, can't get fooled again. You guys are literally acting like fucking imbeciles if you keep voting for Democrats, Republicans. Okay, because you know what's happening in the country. We all know what's happening. Okay, Willie doesn't want to shame you, but I kind of want to shame you a little bit because, like, at this point, guys, what the fuck's going on with that? Like, we can't do this anymore. They've usurped the reins of government and carved themselves from the very engines that which brought them to unjust dominion, a tyranny of their own. George Washington's farewell address, he literally called it, it's time for us to literally just acknowledge it, acknowledge the truth. These two parties are not only destroying our country, they're stabbing us in the back. They've curtailed our civil liberties. They've reneged on their threats to defend us from threats foreign and domestic, their oaths. They're liars. They've gone. They're not talking to us anymore. They're talking to Jamie Dimon. They're talking to Jeff Bezos. They're talking to the Shah. They're not talking to you. They don't work for you, buddy. They don't need to come to you for anything but your vote. And that is the thing that divides us. Their MO is literally the opposite of what our country's MO is. A more perfect union. That's supposed to be our country's MO. Their MO is divide and conquer. Mm-hmm. So the Democrats and Republicans and our country is literally oil and water. So I just want to put that out there, guys. What you're doing when you vote for Democrats and Republicans, you're voting for the insecurity of our nation. You're voting for mass regime change wars. You're voting for nuclear war. You're voting for the non-survival of the American Homo sapiens species. You're literally voting for the end of the world as you know it. You're voting for less health care for all people. You're voting for the end of your Social Security if you vote for Democrats or Republicans. There's no way around it, guys. No way around it. So I just want to share that.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself. And even in the air, here's the thing. I mean, I'm hearing some conservatives bragging about how they're supposedly anti-war on the Ukraine-Russia situation. Great. I'm glad to hear that rhetoric. But then a lot of them kind of shoot themselves in the foot when they're wanting to start World War III over China with the situation in Taiwan. I'm like, how are you any better than the shitlibs over Ukraine?
Because they saw this Joe Biden trick right there. They're not any different. So there is no difference. There really isn't. One of them's checking out Joe Biden's tax returns. The other one's checking out Trump's tax returns. That's the only difference.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And with regard, getting back to Trump versus DeSantis, as I said, everybody thinks that DeSantis will be toast, and I'm not so sure because I summed it up. I've said this to several people. I'd like to know what you think. I compare Donald Trump to Dr. Evil from Austin Powers. I compare Ron DeSantis to Mike Myers from Halloween.
I like that. That's nice.
Yep.
Yeah. That's a really good one.
And Mike Pence might be number 2.
Mike Pence isn't going to get even 1% of the vote. Tim Scott is going to get more than them. They hate that guy. They hate that guy, and I hate that guy. So it's funny. I agree with them on Mike Pence. He's a little cuck, bro. And plus, he doesn't even know how to talk. He's just like, did you see what he was announcing? He was like, oh, mother and I are going to go ahead and be the president. Maybe there's another option out there. That's like Mike Pence, bro. Like, he's got no personality at all. Personality of a fucking...
He's self-loading, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's just got like he's not nothing. Like, why is he even running? So did mother tell him to run? Is that what happened?
Yeah. You know he's self-loading, right?
How is he self-loathing?
You didn't hear the rumor that apparently he had some kind of what was it? What would you call it? The conversion therapy.
Really? That's what happened?
Yeah, yeah. Apparently there was something to the effect that it saved his marriage.
Of course it did, because it made him like not want to have sex with men again, I guess, or anybody. Mother.
Yeah.
You call your wife mother. I mean, obviously don't want to have sex with her.
Yeah.
Shit. That's gross, right? It's like Oedipus Rex. I have sex with mother. He calls his wife mother. So that's that's not hot. I don't think it's hot.
No, not at all. Not at all. Yeah. And you know, I'll tell you was kind of I'll tell you a story about somebody I that used to be a friend of mine. I'm not going to mention the name. But maybe after the show, I will tell you about I'll tell you after the show about this person. Okay. But this person did make kind of not like a shocking news flash, but he did call attention to himself back in, I guess, 2011, 2012, something like that. He was at a rally in Greenville, South Carolina for the Tea Party, and he's like a right-wing activist. And
Milo Yiannopoulos?
No.
Right.
Somebody I knew in college, and the reason I'm not going to mention this person's name because if it could, this person could make a little bit of trouble for me. So I used to be friends with this person, and this person is actually a kind of a fairly well-known person in right-wing circles today. And so anyway, this person basically outed out Lindsey Graham at a rally.
Okay.
Yeah, he told him to get out of the closet, Senator Graham, and the scorn that this person. A lot of people are like, how could he do this to Lindsey Graham? Oh no, I mean. Well, Lindsey Graham was actually kind of moderate on the immigration issue back then, before he returned back to being a right-wing asshole. I mean, he was still too far right, but he was becoming a little more centrist and a little more softer in his ideology, while he was still John McCain's little bitch. But yeah.
You live in Carolina, right? So you know that more than I do. But I every time I see him on Fox, he's never been anything but a warmonger and a psychopath. He's a psycho. Like,
I hate the guy. I hate the guy. I mean, how in the world would people in South Carolina vote for him?
He wants to bomb everybody. He wants to bomb you. He even wanted to bomb Ukraine at first. He was like, we could kill Putin. He wanted to kill Putin. He told everybody just to assassinate Putin. Remember? He told people in his own country to assassinate Putin. That guy's crazy. So,
actually, you heard Russia got a bounty on Graham.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I heard.
That's funny.
That's what I heard. But
I
don't know how true that.
Asking other people in the other countries to do your dirty work, Lindsey. Why don't you kill Putin, Lindsey? Hey, Lindsey, why don't you kill Putin? How about that? He's always asking other people to kill people. Have you noticed that? These right wingers, they always ask other people to kill people. They ask, do what it takes. With Saddam Hussein, right? They asked Pakistan to kill. So that's why we went in to kill him ourselves, Osama bin Laden. Because I'm sorry, I'm getting Saddam Hussein and Osama bin Laden wrong. So you know how Osama bin Laden was hiding in Pakistan, and we took the Black Ops helicopters, and we had to go in there ourselves. At first, we had asked Pakistan to kill Osama bin Laden. They wouldn't, so we had to go in and do it ourselves. But we're always asking people to kill other people first. That's our big thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell you a funny story. I mentioned this to somebody I think last night about Osama bin Laden's death, and the reaction from the right, the reaction from some media people from the right when it happened. Now, as much I mean, can debate whether it was right to kill him or not. I'm talking about Osama bin Laden, but it was one of the few times Sean Hannity and Glenn Beck did not play partisan hack, and they said thank you, President Obama, blah blah blah, whatever. I mean, they actually seemed to be like had a moment, where they were like, yeah, damn, okay, they actually complimented Obama, but I was curious to listen. I said, I bet you Rush Limbaugh is not going to be this magnanimous. And when I listened to Rush Limbaugh talk about it, he acted like he was there in that room, with the security people and Obama, and acted like, well, Obama was just resisting this all the way, and he was just pushed against the wall until he was just basically just was pressured into to okaying the murder of Osama bin Laden, as if Barack Obama was somehow secretly pro, Osama bin Laden. I mean, it was like, this is typical of Rush Limbaugh.
Yeah. I mean, Rush Limbaugh was a performer, but he was very smart though, because he tried to play into that whole Kenyan Muslim socialist thing that Hillary Clinton had.
She invented.
She invented that. But like the right wing took that. I just tell you, like that's why I said there's no difference. They literally take each other's little ideas and plans. Should we have gone into Pakistan and killed him ourselves without? Should we gone into? Let's just put it this way. Should we gone into a sovereign nation without their permission, with our Black Ops helicopters, crashed them in the ocean, swam to shore, gone to a house, killed everyone in there, women, children, Osama bin Laden? They take his body and parachute back out. Should we have done that? I don't think so. I don't think we would have let any country do that to us, would we? Would we just let any country do that to us? A sovereign nation? No. So I mean, that's the way he could have gone, Rush Limbaugh. But he had to go with, he's weak, right? Because this again, it's even more of a bloodthirsty, even more of a draconian, even more of a traitorous fascist kind of feel. More like you said, the Overton window, more and more to the right. No one ever talks about when people talk about the rule of law. What they really mean is police hitting black people over the head with batons. But the rule of law is the laws on the books, guys. We enforce, and the laws we were supposed to enforce were the Geneva Convention, Treaty of Versailles, the torture. We've broken every rule of law from foreign and domestic policy. Our leaders have. And that's another reason not to vote for Democrats or Republicans, because they have no sense of the rule of law. They have no sense of the war crimes they've committed. They have no sense of the irony of them committing, perjury against the Congress. I mean, these laws that are on the books, they haven't even enforced. They want to make new laws. They want to talk about the rule of law, when in reality, they really have never, ever kept any laws themselves. It's just funny.
The thing about it is that when you're an independent and you have a leftist worldview, the ton of bricks and the hatred you get from normie Democrats, even some of the more decent ones. How can you do this? You're just going to enable the Republicans to win. North Carolina is a purplish state that leans red. There's no way in hell that there's really no way that my vote for a Green Party person or some other independents is going to go in favor of the Republicans. You live in Texas, even more so for you in Texas.
Yeah.
But we're going to get the blame every time. I mean,
So they got to blame somebody. And plus, also, these two fascist parties, they have to crack down on dissenters, and we're dissenters of their duopoly. So of course we get the blame, because it's like people think it's gonna be 1984 soon. It's already 1984.
Oh, it's been 1984 for years.
Yeah, it already is. Yeah. We're dissenters. We're Oceania's number one enemies, And so they're gonna look at us and they're just gonna go, ah, 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 just like they do. That's what they're doing.
I would argue this 1984 scenario started since the days of Reagan. Militarization of the police, the law and order thing that's been taking place, and and each administration finds new ways to get more authoritarian. Some of the zero tolerance laws under George Herbert Walker Bush were, and I hate to defend rich people, but if somebody finds a marijuana cigarette on a boat, that the U.S. government can just seize that boat because they're getting tough on the war on drugs. When it's somebody from a cleanup crew that might have dropped a marijuana cigarette or something like that, or they can just confiscate property if they think you're a drug dealer. That existed under George Herbert Walker Bush, and setting up boot camps for prison, things of that nature. And then Bill Clinton with the 1994 crime bill, things of that nature. And then George W. Bush with his Patriot Act and the crackdown on civil liberties. Obama, even though he signed it, but it was Republicans in Congress and a lot of Democrats with the NDAA of 2012, National Defense Authorization Act. And then you had Trump that was trying to do the Insurrection Act against dissenters, protesters during his presidency. And Biden with this Disinformation Governance Board with this Karen, what's her name? Nina Yankowicz.
How do you feel now? Isn't what's her name? The woman who was smearing Bernie Sanders during the campaign. What's her name? What was her name again?
It was Nina Yankowicz. I know she's a Clinton supporter.
Yeah, was she a Clinton supporter? Yeah, Biden's got all of these guys in his cabinet now, and aiding him. Like literally, it's funny. All the people that smeared Bernie Sanders during the campaign. I don't even know how a single progressive person. What is it? What do you think AOC feels? I mean, she used to actually like believe in this stuff. I can tell it bothers her a little bit sometimes. Every once in a while, she gets bothered by people on Twitter talking shit about her because she really does. She really does. That thing that bothers her. See, she's not Nancy Pelosi yet. She still has some inkling of what's right and what's wrong. That's why it bothers her.
Yeah, her and
Nancy
the rest
Pelosi,
of
it doesn't bother her. It doesn't bother Nancy Pelosi at all because she doesn't care at all. But it bothers AOC. So that's just something good to say about AOC. She still has a little bit of a soul left to where things can bother her. And so how do you think she feels right now? Just being
she knows that the left feels betrayed. And it's getting to be Nina, let's see, Neera Tanden, Warren.
Neera Tanden.
That's right. Yes. That's true. That's correct. Thank you, Warren. Thank you.
Thank you.
I do think it bothers her, but because she knows deep down that she fucked over the left, and the left are very angry with her with due justification, and everything. And I'm thinking, and I'm going to sound a little bit. This is a little bit objectifying of women and all that. I apologize in advance, but her looks and her charm can just carry her so far. And we used to make excuses for her because I still think she's fucking hot as hell. But but the thing about it is she's a traitor.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I also think Tulsi Gabbard is hot as hell too.
I love Tulsi Gabbard. I want her to be the next president, even though the big wedge issue, of course, and since we're talking about gay rights and stuff like that, is she doesn't like trans women in sports. She doesn't like that. She wants to protect women. She's coming from a place where she was in the military and people were raped and stuff like that. I think she's latched on like you made a good argument about the fact that she went where the love was, and so the right wing is playing into this issue even more than she really does value that. Like Tulsi doesn't really play sports at all, but she wants to protect women. So the right wing is leaning into that whole thing because they already think they've got her. I don't think that's the thing, how she's going to govern, how she would govern as president of the United States. I think that she would really help in the military industrial complex. She would really help get our civil liberties back. And she would really, she apologized for her anti-gay rhetoric and back when she, because her father was a very conservative person.
Yeah,
And so
conservative.
I know where her heart is. I really do. And I'm sorry that this wedge issue is one of those things that's making a lot of leftists think twice about her, because
Well, I'm gonna tell you my thing about Tulsi Gabbard. Sometimes I am a little tough on her, but I do hold back a little bit because there's a part of me that still likes Tulsi Gabbard. So I am conflicted, and in that regard. And I think she went where the love was at. And so while everybody was sitting there saying she's a right winger and she's this and this and that and everything, when Hillary Clinton was attacking her, I told people Hillary Clinton was then and still is to Tulsi Gabbard's right. She was and still is to Tulsi Gabbard's right. She went where the love was at. She's not Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's not Lauren Boebert. She's not any of those folks. She,
it's hard to be those folks. They're pretty retarded.
She's not. In fact, you're the one that showed me the video where what's his name? Santos.
Yeah.
She basically made George Santos feel like shit, and then Marjorie Taylor Greene went to the defense of George Santos by attacking Tulsi Gabbard, and and so we just kind of like
idiot liars have to stick together. Idiot liars like Marjorie Taylor Greene and George Santos. This guy's not gonna last long though. He's sweating every time they ask him questions. Every time they ask him questions, there's just balls of sweat. What? I don't remember that. I didn't say that. If I were you, George, I would never go on another media show again, because they got videos of you literally contradicting yourself. Yeah. If you're smart, don't ever go on another fucking interview ever again, bro. Or get a lawyer, because you're done.
Yeah,
he's literally lied himself to death. He's lied himself to death.
She got praise from Farron Cousins.
Really?
Yeah,
God, I'm glad.
He's like, good for you, Tulsi. I mean, he was like giddy on his show. So I'm just like,
it's the truth. She's all about the truth, bro. She's all about getting to the truth. Yeah. That's why she went to go Assad. That's why she went to go see Assad. She's not a Assad apologist. She went to go see Assad because they were saying that they did chemical gas attacks. She is in the military. She's like, oh, chemical gas attacks. Those are war crimes. Let me go ask Assad about this. So she went to Assad. Then she saw our government doing false flag operations.
Well, Assad, I don't understand the hatred of Assad, because Assad protects Christians. He protects Jews. He protects Muslims. He protects it. You bring Assad down, what's going to take over? It's going to be 100,000 times worse than Assad.
Yeah, it's going to be a vacuum. Like, we've already done this before.
Yeah. So, and John Bolton called for the defense of Al Qaeda to bring down Assad. I mean, John Bolton. That was when he was
enemies, our fucking enemies, bro. The enemies that destroyed the Twin Towers, bro. They're calling on him for this.
Yeah,
these guys are just like, they're void of morals, of irony, of anything. They're just void of it.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm tired of these guys.
Hillary Clinton, when she bragged about Gaddafi's government collapsing, and what happens? Slavery was brought back. But I'm somehow some secret racist because I voted for Jill Stein, or some secret sexist for picking Jill Stein over Hillary Clinton. I didn't vote for Donald Trump. I did not contribute money to Donald Trump. I don't. He's a billionaire. Strike one. He's out.
He's not a billionaire anymore.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Yeah, he represents that. He's an embodiment of that. Yeah. And so, in that regard, hell no, you're not gonna see me vote for no damn Donald Trump, but you're not gonna see me vote for Hillary Clinton, who's not exactly poor either.
The Clinton Foundation isn't poor. Let's put it that way. Neera Tanden, bro. I swear to God, just the more I think about everything that you mentioned, Hillary Clinton, it's just that's what my mind is going to now. Neera Tanden, and did everybody, all the little bitches. I'm surprised John Bolton's not in your cabinet, Joe. You little asshole. Fucking assholes.
Yeah.
Joe Biden.
Well,
let's not vote for Joe Biden. Somebody stop this man. Somebody push. I thought the falls from the He falls all day long, bro. Falls down the stairs in the Air Force One. He still doesn't. Nothing ever happens to him. I don't know. He must be protected by the devil.
Question for you. As I said, I don't plan to support either Robert Kennedy or Marianne Williamson because I'm outside the two-party system.
Yes.
I have a critique, and I have good things to say about both of them, but I have some I have some criticisms.
I treat every Democrat like enemy combatants. They're enemy combatants. They're traitors to our country.
Yeah.
And so I don't care how good you talk. I've already, like I said, fooled me
That's
once.
true.
Shame on you. Obama fooled me. Obama talked about hope and change. He talked about health care. He fined me for having health care. Then he went to other countries and fucking drone strike American citizens. So I'm done with this stupid flower rhetoric. Marianne Williamson can suck a fuck, like they said in Donnie Darko. Okay, I don't care what. At the end of the day, she's gonna govern like a Democrat because the leadership is gonna make her. So who cares what she says?
They'll be forced. Yeah.
Who cares what fucking Marianne Williamson is saying right now? She's a Democrat. She's a traitor to our country. Okay, the only way to, and I'm sorry, I'm sorry. It's probably I'm not being very popular right now. I know. I'm not reading the comments either because I know that you guys probably hate what I'm saying, but it's just the truth, guys. These Democrats, these Republicans, they are traitors to our country, and I don't care what they say. I'm sorry. They could literally tell me drink more Ovaltine. I'm not gonna give a shit.
Yeah,
they're gonna govern the same fucking way, and the fact that you guys don't realize that yet, I just don't understand. I don't get it. So I don't get it.
Well, my thing about both Kennedy and Williamson is that I tell people they do have a choice, and that choice is Cornel West. And, because anything that's decent about those two candidates, you're going to get with Cornel West, where they conflict with each other or are short of each other on those issues.
Agree.
Yeah, and so that's I'm curious who he's going to choose as his running mate.
Jill Stein. That'd be funny, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be funny?
I'll be okay with Jill Stein. I'd be okay with Jill Stein.
I would too. She's great. She's a great lady. She's very, very brilliant. Jill Stein is brilliant. Yeah. That's another reason why Hillary Clinton attacked her so much. Is because Jill Stein's a brilliant lady. So I mean, that's very challenging to Hillary. All Hillary has is smears and tactics, low tactics. Jill Stein's brilliant in her own way. So.
Little do people remember that it was not just Donald Trump that they associated with being a Putin puppet. In 2016 and early 2017, they were saying that Bernie Sanders and Jill Stein were also Putin puppets. Remember that?
Yeah, everybody's a Putin puppet. It's not Hillary.
Yeah,
everybody.
And then
I'm surprised Joe. If Joe was in that race, because he was thinking about getting in, right? Remember, he would have been a Putin puppet. Everybody would have been a Putin puppet. Everybody was with Hillary because Hillary's the only Democrat women that doesn't suck up to Russia and Putin, right? She has to be a war hawk because she's strong. I mean, another thing Tulsi Gabbard was right about. The whole reason she was attacking everybody is because Hillary is the weakest candidate. She was the weakest candidate ever. She lost to Donald Trump.
She slept.
Yeah. So
I mean, she was horrible.
This is why she attacks you like this, insidious ways. Because she knows she's weak. She didn't campaign in Michigan and Wisconsin because she knows when she campaigned there, she would have literally lost more people. That's why she didn't campaign there.
Now, I'm not trying to make excuses for Bill Clinton, but they didn't allow Bill Clinton to campaign in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Ohio. And I mean, say what you will about Bill Clinton. I don't like the guy, but he's unlike Hillary Clinton. He does come across halfway likable, and he would have made the difference. If they really wanted a goddamn Democrat in the White House instead of Trump, they should have done that, but they didn't. So that they just made one mistake after the other in that election.
Yeah. Was it a mistake, or is it just the way? Like, was it just a journey to get to this point where authoritarian rules, and now liberals are literally part of the censoring fascist state, where they're helping little tech gods like Mark Zuckerberg, Mark Zuckerberg. I mean, do you think it's really mistakes, all of these things, or is it all just little tiny step stools to get to this point where we're at now?
Yeah, I think. I think it's the technology that kind of made it accidentally happen, and people. And I think that maybe, and I'm being charitable, but I think that people's like, well, we do this and we combat misinformation, things can be solved. So it's like, do we do this here and we do this there and we do this here, and we're talking about people being well-meaning, and I'm being charitable. It ends up being like the frog in the pot of water, where it's warm in the very beginning and then it boils, and the frog realizes, well, before the frog realizes it's boiling to death, the frog dies because, it doesn't realize it's slowly, that's where the American people are. We're slowly having our rights taken away bit by bit. And we're not complaining because somebody's giving us a little spin on, well, this is why we can do this, and this is why we can do that, and this is the practical reason to do this and this and that. And
yeah, that's the media. That's the media right there.
Yeah, they'll do that.
That's the media's new job.
Whether it's coming from Fox News or it's coming from MSNBC or CNN, and sometimes it comes from all three networks. But at the same time, this sort of nonsense. It just depends on what it is, on which side of the culture war they're on, or where the consensus, or where they're sometimes even on the same page. Yeah.
And that's the media's new job. It's literally propaganda. It's funny. It's propaganda in 1984 way. It's just all of it is to. They used to be the mouthpiece of dissent, and the CIA, y'all know about Operation Mockingbird. If you read about that, it was infiltrating media, and now they've already done it. So, with the help of all the corporate billionaires that now are oligarchs in our country, and the CIA that has taken us. That's another thing. They've literally taken their operations that were supposed to protect us, right, from threats, foreign and domestic. They've turned them on us. They call us the playground. They call this the playground now, CIA code word, where they can play with our minds and manipulate our decisions. And like you said, it's a frog in boiling water. That led to, with the money funded by Soros and all of these oligarchs, that led to where we're at now. And I think that's it's just implicit on us to make sure that we constantly are free thinking, innovative, and open-minded, guys. Because that's what I always say during my show, is because we have to be. Our eyes have to be open. They were open while this was going on in the 60s. A lot of people were, and a lot of people suffered from that. LSD was put in a lot of water. There was Tuskegee experiments, and we've had lots of casualties along the way of free thinkers. But the best way to be is free thinking, open-minded, and innovative. So,
yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. I was listening to a spoken word album by former Dead Kennedys lead singer Jello Biafra years ago, where he's talking about the Time Life magazine series of the 1960s and how they kind of romanticize it, and the way that they were doing it's like people were grooving in the mud of Woodstock and all this good vibes and everything, and those that fought against racism, fought for for environmental justice and fight against war, to give to the new generation this message: don't ever try that again. And and for many years they were succeeding, and I remember it used to be so frustrating in the 1990s that it wasn't, the country was still too right for me, but it was a little more moderate considering we just survived Reagan. Even with Bill Clinton, it was still more socially moderate. Maybe it's because the campus I was on, it was a little more moderate out there. But the thing about it is that I was frustrated not seeing the protests or seeing people getting outraged about things. And then by the time 9/11 happened with the anti-war movements and everything, people started getting outraged. I mean, the only people who were getting outraged back then were like pearl collecting right wingers. But now the left they're like, no, we're outraged too. So, now you see, you're almost seeing what you saw in the 60s and early 70s with the left protesting and all of that. And the right wing hates it. This is why the red states come up with these anti-protest laws. like like DeSantis, for example, down in Florida, because he doesn't want these protesters out there to do their thing. He wants to crack down.
Yeah, I mean, the crackdown, like you said, every authoritarianism is the way. It's climbing. It's climbed. It's been. So I mean, we're in the hungry for power games. I think before Stephen Colbert didn't stop being funny. Period. He had that hungry for power games where he was like that guy. He really is that guy now. From Hunger Games. But it's just that the media has they've forsaken their whole thing about dissent and holding the powerful accountable, and we all have to now. Now that's the reason we're around. That's the reason we're around, Willie, is because we have to do it now. So that's why we're here.
Yeah, absolutely. So any final thoughts?
Just say no to drugs, guys. I'm just kidding. Now, guys, be free thinking, innovative, and open-minded. And catch my show on www.tommynishpolitics.com. Willie, it was a privilege and a pleasure. You'll be on the show, I'm sure, anytime you want. I mean, you have an open invitation. So
whenever you want me on the show, I'll be glad to come on.
All right, awesome.
All right,
happy Pride, guys.
All right, and I'm going to be signing off, and I'll tell you about that incident when we're officially signed off. So. Okay. Yeah, let me go ahead and do that. Warren, take care.
I would.
Yeah.
Extra bullet for president.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. So let me conclude here. If y'all like what you heard, please press like and comment. Comment any ways you disagree with what I have to say. Feel free to share the content on this channel. As a First Amendment absolutist, it's my duty to inform you to create your own platform and utilize it because we are the muckrakers of our time. Also, reject corporate media and subscribe to the Willy Bragg Show on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, and Twitter, where I live most of the time. And until next time, reject corporate media, folks, because they have absolutely nothing to offer. And until next time, I will see you all later. Cornell West 2024.
I had to blow my nose the whole time.